weren't able to make it. And I'll share this out to everyone who signed up to be here today. So I want to first thank you all for coming today, and we're really excited to show you College App Pro. I know Mark's talked about it quite a bit on the podcast. I'm Mary LaChance, and this is my brother, John Rooney. So we created College App Pro really kind of like when Mark talks on the podcast about making college knowledge available to all. So I'm going to share my screen and I'll walk through the application. While we're going through, if you have any questions as we're going through, feel free to put it in the Q&A. John will be monitoring that, and we'll get to that as at the end after we get through showing the whole application. All right. So this is College App Pro. What this is meant to do is to help students who either can't afford or want to do the college admission process on their own, get through finding colleges that match what they're looking for in a college, and help them with the writing parts of the application, from activities and honors through recommendations and finally essays. That's what's built right now. At the end, I will go through our roadmap and other things that we're planning on adding into the application. One thing I want to know, when you go into College App Pro, there's a feedback screen here where you can send us feedback. And in case there's something that you find along the way that you're like, oh, I wish that I could do this or that within the application. So that's up in the upper right-hand corner. So in College App Pro, the first thing that we do is gather information about the student. So information about their GPA, their standardized test scores if they have them, what they want to study in college, their home state, which we use later on within the application, their household income, and I'll show you how we use that within there. If they want to later on see if a college is affordable, you can put in the most that you think that your family could pay out of pocket each year. And then a little bit of background information on if they're a first generation student or if they're from a rural area. From there, we move on to information about the college and what they're looking for with a college, the location within the country. And on these, they can click through them to say if it's a really strong preference or medium or low or not interested in that region at all. They can not only do that, but they can also specify specific states that they want to either include or exclude from their college search. They can specify how large of a college they want or campus setting, and then some things around campus culture. Now, I'll tell you, I filled out this as if it was me when I was in high school applying, and I didn't know what size college I wanted or what setting I wanted for a school. So that's why all of them are picked there. Finally, we ask them questions about other factors that might be important in their college search, such as prestige of the college, affordability, if it has an honors college. You can also add in colleges that you're already considering so that we make sure that we put that in your list. And then anything else that you might want them to know, like, for example, if you want to stay closer to home, or you need disability services, or let's say you want a school with a big football team, you could specify it there. So as you saw, when I was going through this section, you navigate along the tabs that go along the top, but you can also go back to home, and up in the upper right, you'll see we have a next button. Next button would take you to the next item that's within the list of things to do. But you can always go back to home. When you first go into the application, all of these tiles are not going to be enabled because we're trying to guide the student through a few of the items before they get to the college's list, because we're going to use the information from those items to help find colleges that are a good fit for the student. So you can either go back out to the home or you can use the next button. So I'm going to go into the box of view. The box of view, think of this as, we want to create something where if you had a box and you had the student put things about them into the box, someone could pick up that box and go, this is clearly Mary's box because I can tell by the things that were put in that. So we asked them a series of questions within here where the first three tabs of these, you're going to pick three things on each of them and then say why those are important to you. So we're going to ask you about your values. There's a list that they can pick from, but if they don't see something in that list that they really wanted to put onto it, you always have the option to add one of your own. Down below, you then say, why are those things important to you? Because what analytical might mean for one person and why that's important to them, it can mean something totally different for another student. So we go from values to passions to problems, and then finally mementos. Now, mementos is a little bit different than the other three in that there's not a list to pick from. Mementos are something that's in your life that really resonates with you. So for me, I put four-leaf clovers, grandma's painting, and my flute. That could be something totally different for someone else who's filling this out. And then what's really important is the reason why. Why are you putting those in? All of these things that we put in the box of you, we are gathering this information for a couple of purposes. One, it will help us when we're going to fill out, find colleges that match them. So especially when you're thinking about passions, within here, I had NASA missions. You're going to see that show up later, or globalization. When they're looking for colleges, they might look for colleges that have NASA mission as that maybe they're strong in aerospace engineering or like where I went to school, I went to RPI. There's a strong connection with NASA. The commander of the Artemis mission actually graduated the same year as me from RPI. So those three, like I said, are ones that you pick, and then mementos are really free-form text. The next place that you go to is reflections. And these might feel a little bit more like questions that could be essay questions. And the reason that we're asking these questions really is to get some information that we might be able to use in an essay, but it's not as daunting because we're only asking for, a couple of sentences about something, a moment that changed how they see the world, something that's people are usually surprised when they learn about you. Like for me, I'm the middle of 11 children. Or what's a conviction that you hold that goes against the crowd? And then you can add in anything else that you want the application to know about you. So for example, one of our nieces had seizures from the end of 8th grade to the end of 10th grade. That's something that maybe she might not put in one of the other questions, but something that you really want them to know as we're going through the application. So next, we're going to go to the college list. When you first come in here, you're going to see a button that says something like Generate List. And what it's going to do, as I mentioned before, is it's going to look back through everything that you already provided us. And then it's going to go out and search to try to find the best fit college. Within that, it's going to categorize the colleges as Reach for All, which is any college that has a sub 20% acceptance rate, because those colleges really are looking for fit or trying to build that class. So even if you have all the grades and the stats for that school, it's a reach for anybody who is applying to that school. It's also going to give you an estimated net price cost based on the family income that you provided earlier. So this number would be different for different people who are coming in. It's going to tell you how this school meets some of the things that you said were important to you. So you can see like experiential learning and interest in globalization. You remember how I said earlier I had put globalization in as something that I was interested in. If the school has an early decision acceptance rate and they say what the acceptance rate is within those, so if they fill out the common data set, we can get the information about the acceptance rate and early decision versus the overall acceptance rate. So you can see at Northeastern, there's a big difference between the acceptance rate normally, and then the early decision acceptance rate. All of the schools, you can also click on the header, and that will take you to their website so that you can learn more about it. And we put the net price calculator at the bottom, which we encourage the students as they go through to fill out the net price calculator, because while we can put in an estimate based on the information that we've gathered, a net price calculator is going to get a little bit more information than what we have. We only ask for family income, where the net price calculator is going to ask you for more information within there and give you a number there. From there, you can also do more information in the bottom right. When you go into here, this section right here at the bottom, detailed analysis, won't be there, but it's going to give you information about the college that we saw on the main card. And then you can click the detailed analysis button, and it's going to go out and get more information about that college and how it relates to you specifically. So why it might be a good fit for you. The other thing that you'll find on here too is you have a visit campus button. So if you wanted to plan a visit to that campus, you could click right there. It would take you to the page so that you can plan out your visit with them. The other things that you will find on this page is it will also highlight if a university is in-state or out-of-state for you, and the net price will change based on if you are in-state or out-of-state, so it takes that into account. As you go through this listing, you say, you know what, okay, I did a little bit of research. These are some of the schools that I want to keep on my list. You just hit the plus button up here in the upper right, and that will add it into your My Colleges tab. The My Colleges tab is what is then used later on when we're looking at doing college-specific essays. So I add them in here. I can see them here. And again, at any point within here, I can say, you know what, I didn't see a college in here that I was really hoping for. Can you go and search that? So you can put one in there, and then it will go and search and add that in and categorize it based on the Reach for All, Reach Target, or Likely School. So one thing that I want to say is stop and say here too. When you come into here on this first tab, we allow you to run the college search 3 times. Because we know as students are going through the process, they might take another standardized test and then want to see how that might change their list. So then you can run that there. We allow it 3 times because we've tried to keep the price of this application very low so that any student can afford it. But each one of those, it costs us money on the back end in order to run it. So within there, and then on this one too, because it's running the same kind of search as it goes through, we limit that to adding 5 additional colleges that don't show up on your list. I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to add some likely schools to my list. So I have a more balanced list. The third tab on here gives you information specific to why did it pick the colleges that it put onto the list, and then some information about the financials. But up at the top, you can see programs that you may qualify for. And these are 2 programs that help students with the college admissions process. So because I said that I was a rural student when I was doing the demographic information, it's going to highlight the STARS College Network and give them a link out to it so that they can learn more about it. I also said that I come from a family that was relatively low income, but my stats were pretty high, and so it highlights the QuestBridge program there. Then, like I said down below, the strategy summary kind of gives some information about the colleges that it picked. Why did it pick those? Things I might want to consider as in building out my list. And then the financial outlook, a similar strategy in here, talking about our family, saying like, because we're relatively low income, I might want to look at the SUNY schools because I said I was a New York State resident, and those are going to offer you a net price that's a little bit lower. It also gives me access to a special scholarship within New York State called the TAP. And then at the bottom, you'll also see it added in the Excelsior Scholarship that New York State offers with a link out to there. We have this same thing, but for the different scholarships for the states, like the Hope Scholarship in Florida, for example. And we always encourage them for every student to run the net price calculator for any college that you're interested in, because that will give you a better estimate, because it will be based on your individual not only, like I said, income of the family, but also assets and other items that come in the net price calculator. All right, so from there, then we go into the activities and honors section. This is going to look very similar to how the Common App is set up. There's one key difference though within here. So we do ask about the activities and, kind of what did you do within that activity, but we ask a question about what did you learn? What did you learn? We're going to use this in two ways. When we go to create the final things, text that we're going to put into the Common App, it will look back at the what did you learn and try to look to see if maybe we should combine it up with what did you accomplish. But we also will feed that over to the essays, because these are the kinds of things that you might pull from not only for your main essay, but also those college specific essays where they might ask you about, a lot of colleges will ask, tell us about one of the activities that you did throughout high school, and how did that affect you? So it can go back and look at this list then. And we do honors and activities together because I find sometimes when I'm working with students, they'll put things that are really honors in the activities section. So you can see at the very bottom of this, I put in that I have won the RPI medal, which really should be in the honors section. And you'll see when we go to do the Claudia suggestions, when I run this, it's going to prompt and say, actually, you said that you won the RPI medal. That really should move to the honor section. And you can either choose to dismiss it, or you can say select, apply the selected. When you do that, it's telling you you will use 5 of the 10 activities, because it's going to subtract 1 there, and it's going to add it to the honor section. Because I only have 2 in there, I'll have used 3 of the 5. So I'm going to say apply that selected. What you're not seeing also, I should mention, as we go through the application, when you go through it for the first time, Claudia is going to pop up at different points along the way and just give some tips along the way about why we're asking for things and helping the student through the navigation of the site. So then we go to the final review. On the final review, Claudia will go through and look at what you had written within there, and then give you a suggestion of what you could put into the activities description. You can edit this right here if you don't like what that came up with, but if you like what you have here, you can hit copy, and then you can take that up to the Common App. We do not have a direct connection with the Common App as of right now. Maybe someday in the future we will. The other things that are on here we felt were short enough that doing a copy and paste might be a little overkill. So we only do it on the activity description within there. And then you have your honors in there as well. All right. Next, we go into letters of recommendation. And on this one, you can see up at the top, Claudia is giving a suggestion that, what is the letter of recommendation? And that normally students are going to pick a math science teacher and an English history teacher. What I've found with students that I've worked with is that, in some of the schools, is that some of the schools, especially schools that have like a lot of students in the school, and the counselors might have a caseload of 500 students, that sometimes they don't know what the purpose of the letter of recommendation, what it really is. It's really about centering the student in the classroom. So we wanted to make sure that that is what they are focusing on when they're asking the teacher for the letter of recommendation. They're not talking about the activities that they do outside the classroom. While the teacher can certainly pull that in and put that in and be validating to their activities list, the purpose really is about what did that student do in the classroom? So we give them a list of character traits, and we want them to pick 2 character traits that they feel like they demonstrated within that classroom. And again, if they don't see something on here that they really want to talk about, they can choose other and put something else in there. It gives that a description of really, okay, so what does intellectual curiosity mean? And then ask them to write, a few sentences about how they demonstrated that within the classroom. So they do that both with the first letter recommendation. The second one, when you go in here, it will prompt you if you chose math, like a math or a science teacher on the first one. It will say like, hey, you might want to consider an English or history teacher here, but they're free to pick whatever teacher they want within there. Your tone, you can set your tone within there and the length of the email that you want to send to your teacher. Now, we do prompt them to say, like, you really should be asking the teacher first in person and then asking if you can follow up with an email. So they can do that there. Now, I can tell you, my husband is a teacher. My dad was a teacher. And this is the one place where we allow Claudia to actually do some writing. So when you come to the Generate tab, you can click Generate, and it will go back through what you had put on your list of your teacher's name, the link that you wanted, and then what did you want to talk about as your 2 character traits. The reason we do this is I know from my husband, he's very busy. And what he has told me is that the teachers that he works with, a lot of them use AI to do this. And the way that we looked at this was this really isn't about the students writing because it's the teacher who is writing it. It's about portraying how that student was within the classroom. So with that, it is taking the information that the student provided and then creating the letter for the teacher. All right. Next, I'll go over to the essays, and this is our final section within here. And again, like it happened for the when you go into the My Colleges first, when you first come in here, you're going to see a generate button. What Claudia is going to do here is go through and look at all the information that you provided already from the information in the box of view, the information that you provided about where you were from, the mementos that you did, the lessons that you learned, the reflections. It's going to look at your activities list, and it's going to look for a combination of those things and give you some suggestions of topics you might want to talk about on the Common App. It's going to give you 3 different suggestions, and then within those suggestions, 3 different things that maybe you want to hit within that essay. So you can see within here, it talks about me being in the middle of 11, but it also picked up that when I was recording basketball stats, when I was a manager of the basketball team, I actually had to defend my stats. And so is there anything similar to that with navigating dinner table conversations with 10 siblings? So within that, you can pick one of these, or at the bottom, it still has all of the Common App essays, and you can pick one that maybe you were working on within your English class. If you don't like the suggestions that it came up with, you can ask it to regenerate some other suggestions. When you go in to write your essay, the first thing that you're going to see over here is the same information that you saw on the previous screen. But then you also have, after you write this essay, you can ask Claudia to do a review of that. So you can see here, Claudia has highlighted the sentence of being in the middle of 11 children means you're never the oldest voice and rarely the youngest. And it was saying like you might want to add more depth here. So you can ask Claudia to do some of this, and you can click resolve. You can go through and edit it, run a Claudia review again, but you also have the option to do a share. On the share, this you can share with someone, either an English teacher, a mom, a counselor. You have two different ways that you can share it with them, either read and comment, or if you just want them to read it, you can send it to them that way. It creates a link for them that expires within 30 days, and they do not need a subscription to College App Pro in order to go in and comment on your essays or read your essays if you don't chose for them not to edit them. We do on the bottom give them their word count for the Common App essay as being 650, but we allow them to write a lot more than that to start with because we didn't want to limit them as they're first going through, because a lot of the time you're going to write a lot more than 650 words, and then you're going to narrow it down until you get to the 650 words. So that is the Common App essay. The application will look for them to write their Common App essay first before it opens up the college-specific essays for the student. And the reason is we don't want the student to repeat in their college-specific essays something that they put in their Common App essay, because the Common App essay goes to every college, where your college-specific essays only go to the college that was requesting that essay. So when we go into the college-specific essay, you can see here, I added a couple colleges from it than the last time that I had done it. So this is what you would see is gather prompts. So it's going to go out and gather the prompts for the different colleges that I put on my colleges list, and tell you like which essays they were, how many words you have for it, and at the bottom, it's going to tell you too if the college does not have a college-specific essay in this. We still encourage, while we're going out and pulling the information, we still want people to go and validate with the colleges within the Common App to make sure that they're not just relying on this, because colleges can change those essays really all the way even past August 1st. So we want them to validate them within the Common App and not just rely on seeing it here, but then writing it with here and then copying it up. So when you go into an essay for a college, you'll have a button over here that will say brainstorming with Claudia. And so very similar to what I talked about with the Common App essays, it does a similar pattern here with the college-specific essays, in that it's going to give you 3 different things that you might want to consider writing about for this basically why RPI essay here. So it gives you 3 different choices there, and then why do these work for RPI? Again, as you saw on the previous on the Common App essay, we allow them to go over the amount of words that are allowed, and then they can cut back to it. Once I write some of it, I have the Claudia review, just like I did on the other one, and I also have the share button as well. After we write all of our essays, then it goes into final review. And here, it's going to pull in all the essays that you wrote, and you can go in here and it has a copy button, so you can copy and then bring it up to the Common App and paste it there. So that is the application as it stands today. But we do have other things that we are planning for with the tool. So I'm going to show you a roadmap that we have created for the application going forward. So in Q3, we're planning on having functionality for the application strategy and then an application tracker. In Q4, having a Funding the Dream, which will have information about scholarships and doing a side-by-side comparison of their aid offers and an appeals process. All of the things that we are adding to the application, we are not charging current students who have already purchased the application anything more for additional functionality. Once you purchase it, you have any functionality that we add in. In 2027, however, we are planning on creating a new Enterprise Edition College App Pro for counselors. And with that, that will be a different product. So think of the first one, what we're building out now, as really for the students. And then in 2027, building out an application for the counselors. If anyone on the call wants to be on a focus group to help us think about what would be very beneficial to you, let us know. You can either email the email address that we sent the link to the webinar to, or you can always go into the application and do feedback that way as well. That's everything, and I know I went through it pretty quickly. I'm going to go back to the application and open it up for questions. I know that we had a few questions that came in earlier. So I'm going to turn it over to John and let him ask me some questions.
So we did have some questions coming in here. Let's start at the top of the list. Okay. The first question is the text available in languages other than English?
So right now, all the whole application is done within English, and the reason that it is done in English is you're going to have to submit your application in English. So at this point, we don't have any plans in the foreseeable future to be putting it in other languages. Yep.
Okay. Next question we have is the software integrated with College Aid Pro?
So College Aid Pro is an excellent product for those who have used it. That gives information about what you could expect to pay. So it asks a lot of financial information. While I would love someday to be integrated with College Aid Pro, today we are not integrated with that. But the information that we have for where I showed you the net price for the individual students, we are using the IPEDS data. So that's data that colleges give to the federal government about the average price that people with that income range pay at their college on average. So that's really what we're using. We're also building out a proprietary net price, we'll say a net price calculator, where we're going out and finding information about each of the colleges as well. And as you saw, like in, I think it was Q4, we're planning on bringing in that financial aid information as well. So as we get more data within there, the better that our estimates will become. Okay.
Okay, good. The next question is there a discount for Scholar Match or Match Lighters?
So Scholar Match Letters and Scholar Match are two programs that lower income students, and I would even throw QuestBridge in there, or possibly even the STARS Network, where they work with lower income students. We purposely built this application at a price point so that any student could afford it. So I don't see any discounts in there because, like I said, we built it as only $10, knowing that it would benefit really any student. But we really were keeping the cost low so that every student could afford it.
Next question I have is, can I use College App Pro to help guide pro bono students?
Yes, I would say basically this could be used for any student. So especially pro bono students, like I said, like those are the students that we had in mind. Because again, a little bit of background, like I had said, we're two of 11 children. Our dad was a teacher growing up. It's almost like we're building this application for the students we were when we were younger. And we're really hoping to reach those students. And again, that's why It's only priced at $10 and a one-time fee, not a subscription fee, so that any student can have it.
Next question I have here, is College App Pro a program, a good program for non-citizen students?
Yeah. So the like I said, this can be used for any student who is applying to U.S. colleges. The one caveat that I would add in for non-citizen students is when we are building out the college list. So if I go into here and we go and look at the net price could be different for the international students than what shows up on the cards here, because that really is assuming that you are a U.S. student when it's coming up with the estimate there, at least for right now.
I had a question that came in that I slightly answered, so I'll ask the question and then give the answer that I gave, but I figure you might be able to give a little more here. Uh, are you categorizing the likelihood just basis on the acceptance rate? And I said
No,
that
yeah,
I
sorry.
said no, we were taking into account other aspects such as gender, major choices, GPA, test scores, in-state, out-of-state, financial choices, and then if you need to elaborate more on that, that's the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really looking at how do your stats fit in with that college, and so it's looking at the stats from GPA, where you're from, um, the if you provided the SAT scores, where you land within there. So it takes into account all of that. What I would say is the only place where it's kind of looking at the acceptance rate is in that reach for all category, because any school that accepts fewer than 20% of its students will go into that reach for all. Any
Okay.
other questions?
The last question I believe I can answer is like, can you use this as an app and or just a website? So this app was built as a progressive web app, so it works both on a computer and it will function just as well on a phone. We take great care to make sure that because we know a lot of students today spend a lot of time on their phone. So most certainly, if they use Chrome or Safari or whatever their web browser is on their phone to go to this site, they will be able to use it on their phone there
Yep.
or a tablet.
All right.
That is the last of the questions that I have been asked.
So I'll say, are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Because I don't want to drop off until I make sure I answer any of them. But if you think of any questions after the fact, feel free again to use the email that we used. And I'll be putting this webinar link out via email. And then I might even ask Mark if we can put it up on the website underneath that. So if you know of anybody else who wasn't able to make it and you want to share it with them, please, like, we're really just trying to get the word out there to help people with the college admission process as they're going through. Um, I think the thing that would make us the happiest is hearing people using the tool and then getting into colleges that maybe they hadn't even heard of before, or ones that were a dream college of theirs. So thank you, everyone who came tonight. And like I said, if you have any questions that you think of after the fact, feel free to email us. Thank you,
We,
everyone.
we love talking about college.
Thank you.